I once did a survey asking people what they believed the fruit of wolves was in reference to Matthew chapter 7. Many various answers came in. In fact, there was no two alike, which I have to confess actually concerned me. The Lord specifically told us to watch out for these wolves, yet we all have different definitions of what we are to look for. This tells us that while we're all looking for the wolves by way of our own definitions, if we're watching for them at all, we could actually be deceived by them before our very eyes and not even know it. This very issue screams for us to find out the one true full definition of the fruit of wolves found in the Scriptures. Let's break down the words of Christ just a little. First, in verse 15, Christ tells us to watch out for this. So, are we watching? Next, he says that these wolves actually come in sheep's clothing. So, to the sheep, they do not appear as wolves. Then he said, we will recognize them by their fruit. Think about this for a minute. They may look, act, and sound like sheep, but their fruit gives them away. No grapes from thorn bushes, and no figs from thistles. A good tree bears good fruit, and a bad tree bears bad fruit. In fact, verse 18 really cuts it to the core. Here he said that a good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. This is huge. So whatever you considered to be good fruit, that which is observed, a wolf cannot have it. Not even a little. And whatever you considered bad fruit, that which is observed, a shepherd or any follower of Christ cannot have it either. Not even a little. Please think about this for a moment. Not one element of good fruit can come from a bad tree, and not one element of bad fruit can come from a good tree. This truly narrows the options of what the fruit is that we are to be looking for. There is no blending of fruit, period. Verse 19 is very similar to John 15, verse 2 and 6. And again, he says, we will recognize them in verse 20. Yet, how can we recognize them if we're not on the same page of what to look for? Christ said we are to watch out for these individuals, meaning that they won't be obviously standing out. They will blend in with others. Consider the words of Christ as he continues in the next verse. Matthew 7:21. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons, and perform many miracles? Then I will tell them plainly, I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers. It's interesting to note that these individuals thought that they were going to enter the kingdom of heaven, yet, to their eternal dismay, they were told, I never knew you. Away from me. What an absolute terrible thing to hear from the one you called Savior. The most important part of this verse is the most overlooked and yet holds the answer for the previous 8 verses.